Hello there, you beautiful soul, to the person that is going to tune in to this segment of Cultured Society Talks. I welcome you and I thank you so much for taking the time for joining us today. Today, I have a very special guest, and this is actually my very first guest in this series of Cultured Society Talks. And Asta and I had the opportunity to meet, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. And the whole purpose of this segment is to bring in a lot of cultural diversity, because this is what cultured society is, but also to bring in human beings that are empowering the humans on our planet and that are transitioning us into a new earth and a new way of living. We are here to have soul deep conversation, to bring in our own personal philosophies and also just different perspectives, right? Because although we are all one, right? We are all one. We are all having our own personal experience. And Asta actually happens to live in Chicago, but she's from Lithuania. And how we came across each other is all divine alignment, right? Because at the time that I met Asta, I was living in Arizona and now I'm in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So it's just, although our world is so large, yet it seems as though souls are gravitating towards each other, the people that really need to be a part of each other's lives. And I'm so grateful and so thrilled to introduce my guest today. Her name is Asta Malciute, and coming to us from Chicago, Illinois. So Asta is a soul deeply passionate about empowering other women to see how gifted and beautiful they are while holding their hands as they take those very steps out of fear into power. You could also call her a transformational mentor who loves to encourage women to live their most authentic lives. Asta does this through private coaching, group workshops, women's circles, speaking, writing, and inner circle masterminds. And I can't tell you enough how grateful I am to be aligned with this beautiful woman here. She's so selfless and she is such a bright light and literally touches everybody that she comes across, including my life. And so I have brought a series of questions that I'm going to be asking every single one of my guests. And like I said, although we are one body, right? We all have different perspectives and we all have different philosophies, but we can still come together and really just be aligned and really encourage each other to, to be open-minded and to embrace a lot of these belief systems that, may not be exactly the same, but I feel like at the end of the day, we all, again, are one. And so Asta, thank you so much again for taking the time to join me, for being a part of these important conversations, especially now in the time that we're living in. There's so much darkness in this world, right? But yet we have the ability to be bright lights and bring in, just so much peace and so much happiness to those that surround us. So I want to start off by asking you this question, and it will go into a series of other questions. What is your life philosophy?
Okay, so before starting to answer this question, I would love to thank you for inviting me to speak my own truth, my own philosophy here. And as you said, there is so much darkness in this world, but I'm so happy that I met you and that we connected as a soul sisters out of nowhere. And you are a true light and you always inspire me. So I think like we are mirroring each other to each other, and just so grateful to have you in my life. And so grateful for what you're doing right now. I think so many people will get value from these conversations. And when it comes to my life philosophy, oh, it's not an easy question to answer because I think it could be millions of different answers, right? As you said, every one of us, we experiencing this human experience from our own different eyes and point of view. Um, I think my life philosophy is changing with time. I believe that there are seasons in our lives. And for the long time, for my biggest awakening, spiritual awakening, I felt like my philosophy was to, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Since early age, I had a lot of challenges. I faced a lot of challenges, health issues, and other stuff. And I always kind of had an ability to turn all of these challenges into my own strength. It's like it made me stronger, or it motivated me to push even harder, to outwork other people, maybe at school, like kids. So this was my philosophy for a lot of years. Just like focus on a good in every bad situation, a focus on finding a lesson in every challenging moment in life. um, but then it changed. I think that this is still my philosophy in life, but it's not the one that I'm operating from. It's not the primary drive for me. What it comes to these days, I would say my philosophy is to live my life to the fullest, live my life how I imagine that a life is the best for me, not how the outer world is telling me how I should live. And stop existing, because existing is cruising through life, checking the society boxes. And I feel like my ancestors were silenced, and I'm now ready to speak up. I'm ready to own my power. I'm ready to live how I feel called to live. So this is my philosophy, to just, no matter what other people say, no matter of the outside circumstances or darkness around, to always follow my inner voice, my inner intuition, and go my own route, so follow my own dream.
Yes, yes, you are so right. Because you know what? There's so much noise in this world, and it's so easy to get distracted by what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is saying that you need to be. And just to follow your own inner guidance is definitely what a lot more people need to do. And you did talk about how that philosophy has changed, right, throughout your experiences. And I had mentioned that you are from Lithuania. So tell me how that philosophy evolved over the years, even from you moving from Lithuania to America.
So the first philosophy, I would say, that was like, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Um, Kept me all the years when I was living in Lithuania, grew up, went to university, and when I moved here, it was also very challenging. I moved to United States 10 years ago with no papers, no language, no friends, no parents, no one. I came here with my ex-husband, so just two of us, young kids. um, we had this drive and passion. We were not afraid to work hard, but of course we faced a lot of challenges, and just like, the new culture, like you don't understand some mindset stuff, you don't understand some cultural stuff, how things happen here. So it always like kept me going, and made me stronger. But in 2014, I had my wake-up call when I found out that I have tumor in my head.
Mm.
This was like, I, I think this philosophy even amplified even more. Like, okay, this tumor only makes me stronger. But from this like huge awakening and huge news, and I would say the best gift I ever received, even though it was really really shocking for a few months, was that my purpose in life is to help others to wake up and stop existing before they receive some kind of bad wake up call.
Mhm.
And then it started, okay, so the bigger calling is not just go over challenges and become stronger, but maybe the universe, or whatever the higher power was preparing me to become strong enough to be able to help others get out of their own boxes, get out of their own fears, and step into their power, follow their own dreams. So it's kind of evolved naturally, and I'm not sure if this is a philosophy or not.
No, it totally is. And there's no right or wrong answer. This is
Yeah.
exactly what we need to hear. And it's amazing that you said that you know, even something like a tumor, because majority, I talked about this in a live that I did yesterday about how oftentimes when we're diagnosed with something, with a dis-ease in our body, that we accept it as our truth. And then we just go off on this tangent in our mind. Oftentimes we kill ourselves in our mind before the event even happens. And the fact that you could take such a tragic event in your life and empower yourself to heal and to help others. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to want to know this, but how long did it take you to heal? And what thoughts were going through your head when you found out about this tumor?
Yeah, so when I found out, I was still working in a logistics company. I remember it was like super busy day. Everyone's on a phone call, speaking few languages. It was like so busy, like dispatch area. And I got this news over the phone call, and I just remember that at that moment, like I heard the word tumor. I didn't even know if it's cancerous, it's not cancerous, but just the word tumor for me, like looked like my world is like, that's it. Like this is the end. And I remember that I couldn't hear anything around me. All the noise just disappeared. And I couldn't even feel my body. I was just felt like, I don't know. I literally felt how my soul left my body without realizing that at that moment. It was really bad. I remember I just went to my car and I just drove home, all crying and screaming, like, why me? The first reaction is like, of course, like when something happens to us, the first human reaction is usually like, why me? I'm like, I'm pretty good person. Like I never did anything really bad. Like I did some stupid things in life, but I didn't do anything bad to anyone. I'm working hard. I'm like wishing everyone, the best. Why would always, this like universe choose me for all of the, challenges? Because I was that sick kid since childhood and always in the hospitals. And I was like, when will be enough, news after news. And, but then it was a few days when I started to think, okay, like, but what's now? I don't know how much time I have, but it looks like I have some time. So why not use it? Like how I want to live my life.
Mm,
And the realization came that, I wasn't actually living. That's why I received this wake up call. I was just cruising through life. I was so busy in this hamster wheel, especially like immigrant coming to the United States, like working 7 days a week, making a lot of money, buying what I want, living American dream, and living this like hashtag hustle perfect life. But I didn't even knew like why I am here. I didn't even had time or like invested time to ask myself what brings me joy in life.
mm,
I didn't like invested time to have any hobbies. I was just hustling
mm,
24/7, hustling and making homemade meals, Lithuanian meals. That's it. That's it. So I think the biggest realization was that if I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my life because time equals life.
yes.
And then I'm like, okay, so how I want to, live my life? What do things I enjoy? Why I'm here? If I'm still alive, there should be some purpose why I'm here. Not just making money and doing business, but there should be something more. And I kid you not, like I started to just like when I'm walking outside, I started to listen to birds. Like before that, I was so busy, like I never paid attention into like birds. Or I felt like even the flowers and trees started to talk with me. It's just it was so awkward. I felt like such an aliveness around me. I literally felt that I am one with the universe without knowing all the spirituality things. It was all before that. Yeah, so that was. And when it comes to healing, you asked me like, when did you heal? I think I'm still healing. I think healing is never ending journey. um I was just messaging one girl today on Instagram. We were talking about that there is new level, new devil. I think when we grow to the next level, there are new fears coming up that wouldn't show up in the lower level, or there comes up some kind of new limitations, new traumas come up. Especially in 2020, I had a lot of traumas coming up, or like I felt like I already got this stuff. I'm already the spiritual and awakened person. And then boom, universe sends you something like, No, not yet. so so I'm still repeating to me, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So I hope 2021 won't be that challenging, but I'm down for a challenge.
It's so funny that you say that new levels bring new devils, because that statement is so real. And it's crazy because just like you having all these experiences throughout the years, it challenges you to uplevel your mindset and to really recognize that we are a never-ending evolution, and that when you experience transitions or even challenges like that, that is just bringing you another level of awareness, and it never stops. It never stops. But you have the ability to really like just shift your perspective on what's actually happening. How long did it take for the tumor to actually subside? Oh no. Are you there?
I am there.
Did you
Yes.
hear what I was saying? Sometimes the recordings kind of they freeze up. So hopefully everything is good. But so is the tumor completely gone, Asta?
No, it's not gone, but it's inactive. So I am just completely sure that if I will be living my life, like it all will be good. So
Yes.
I just have no fear at all about it.
Yes. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's the way that we should live our life, because I believe that fear is the biggest killer. It is, if we continue to live our life in fear, that's really more toxicity to our body than any ailment that we could ever have that could be present into our body. Asta, how has your upbringing and circle of influence impacted the way that you live your life today?
When I'm thinking about the circle of influence, is probably the first ones that, of course, are our first social circle is our parents, right? And culture where we grow up. So I grew up in a very, very small village and like 2,000 people. And my parents, I think, taught me a lot of great qualities, just like be a hardworking person, always wish, to others what you would love to receive yourself. um, Respect others, be friendly, be honest person. So all of these like great qualities. But also I think we all receive some kind of limitations.
Mhm.
So like Lithuania were occupied by Russia, and we got our independence when I was a little child. So a lot of mentality is like this, like Soviet Union mentality. Like my grandparents went to war, we were kids, experienced war. Then my parents, of course, still had the same like mentality of like communism, where like don't be different, you have to be the same as everyone else. Um, then just stay quiet, and if you are not happy with something, just stay quiet, just just wait for better times. So and of course, like when it comes to financial minds, and as an entrepreneur, I faced a lot of financial mindset problems, because all my family, like everyone's in my like family, are like really hardworking people. Like none of them are like entrepreneurial or like, I don't know, artistic, creative. So it was challenging to just you know change my financial blueprint, because
Mhm.
I was taught that you have to like work physically really, really hard to earn money. And for me, it was really hard to ask for money for things that I invested in myself. I know it's like it's my knowledge, it's my skills, but it's not like I'm physically working.
Mhm.
So stuff like that, and then just like speaking my own truth. I felt called in my in this like throat chakra, the energy field. As I said before, like my ancestors, I feel, were silenced. That's why I have to speak up and just change the pattern and heal ancestral wounds. And it was really hard to speak up at the beginning, because we were like, why are you talking about these things? Like, why are you sharing that and that? This is like way too personal. Or what will people say? Um, so I think like all kinds of beliefs, I got really good qualities that I really value and I think suits me really well here in the United States. But at the same time, there are also beliefs, cultural beliefs that were really hard to overcome, and sometimes it's still there. I'm just aware of these limiting beliefs.
You mentioned in one of your posts on social media, I believe it was either yesterday or sometime this weekend, that culturally, and this is not just in Lithuania, because I've experienced it in my own culture and here in America, is what are they going to say, Asta? What
Mm.
are they going to say if you're doing this or if you're doing that and you're not really following the crowd? When did that realization of shifting that mindset change when you got sick, or was it something that happened when you moved to America? When did really things start shifting for you in that sense?
Of course, I think it all started to shift when I started to surround myself with open-minded people. When I enrolled myself into a bunch of programs and started to work with my own first like life coach, then business coach, attending all of those seminars. I attended few of the seminars with you, so all of these no conventions. When people are sharing and when you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people, with people who are dreamers, doers, and believers, like there are no other choice. Like you start to believe in yourself too. And I think that your mission, your calling, and your desire to speak up becomes louder than the inner voice that's stopping you,
Mhm.
from all of these expressing yourself. So I think, yeah, it was. I think it started all of this started when we met. So that was like my like 5-6 years ago. Maybe we met like 5-4 years ago.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was kind of beginner's journey of like, okay, here I am. This is what I like. These are my values, and I'm gonna speak up on my truth. So
That is amazing. And you know what? You're so right. They say that your network is your net worth, and that the people that you surround yourself should always be that higher version of you, right? That are always pouring that love and that infectious positivity into you. Because if you're the one always pouring out to people, it's like, that what you always have to be one to be to also receive value, but oftentimes we have to put ourselves in those spaces and even invest our resources to surround ourselves with those people that are in the place that we aspire to be in. And it's so important. Our network is so important.
I
Now, go ahead.
sorry. I want to add to this one. I actually just like last year, I think at the end of 2019, 2020, like I realized that I was pretty much surrounding myself with a network of women that I'm not saying that I was the smartest one, but there was the same network of women just growing a little by little. But most of the time, the women that coming to my events, women that I work with, like my friends. And now I realize that there are no one who has different point of view. There is no one who could challenge my mindset, someone who could give me new ideas. Because if we hang out in the same circle, it's kind of, we can grow so far.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I made a decision just like last year to invest into becoming a part of the mastermind, or like I don't know anyone and I don't want to have people that I know. So like
Mhm.
I'm throwing myself in completely different container where I can like learn more and grow. And this is like so important. So I love that you highlighted that, and I wanted to share that. Sometimes happens, and it's always when you feel like already very comfortable. I invite everyone to just join the new group.
Mhm.
Go out there. Maybe it's not easy right now to go out there and meet people during this timing, but just go and network on social media, meet new people, join some kind of workshops, or groups or memberships, to surround yourself with new people and new minds.
Yes, that is so true. And you know what? I hear a lot of people that say, "Oh, Rebecca, it's so hard to meet people, especially during the pandemic." Well, you know what? If you find an excuse, you will always find limitations. And I have found that last year was like an opportunity. I met so many people last year, whether I was going out to the grocery store, even if I had my mask on, right?
Mhm.
Or using social media as a tool, as a powerful resource. Because, I mean, unfortunately, we kind of fall into that 5% category, Asta, especially as young women entrepreneurs who are, in this realm of personal development. But I find that there is a sea of people that we can touch all the time and that we can connect with and that are doing so many powerful things. Now, with that comes my next question. Do you believe that your line of work infects society, our society, with positivity, and how so?
Um, I hope so. I hope that it impacts in a positive way. Um, I truly hope that I inspire women to follow their dreams, to, recognize the fears and still take action. Because I feel like so many things, it's not just about educating and motivating people, but I want to just be that person who like pushes over the
Yeah.
cliff with love and caring energy. Because like I already see that you are more than ready, you are more than educated, and the world needs you stepping into your power and just serving the world. So I'm just like pushing, holding hands, taking the very first steps. And I think it's a very meaningful. Like for me, it's very nourishing work that I do. I don't even feel like this is work because I
Mhm.
enjoy doing that. Comparing to what I did before in logistics, it was just work. So and when they receive this like feedback, it's always like the best outcome when I can receive that. Oh, thank you so much for doing that. Like it was a breakthrough. You changed my life. All of these things, I think that just are proof, that I'm on the right path. I'm sure that I can always do better, and I can always, evolve and serve more. Because I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I'm still going through my own transformation, and I think transformation is absolutely never ending journey. If you
Mhm.
feel like you've done, you have a lot of issues.
It
So
is, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. You definitely hit it on the nail right there. And I feel like oftentimes people are waiting for that perfection, right? Like everything has to be perfect before I go out and serve. And that is the biggest lie that you can tell yourself, because just like you said, that, our transformation is never ending. We are constantly changing and we are constantly evolving. And so if you're waiting for that perfect time, you're going to miss the train.
Yeah.
And then, oftentimes people are looking for people that are a mess, right? Like not necessarily that you're a mess, because I think that you're perfect. Like we really are. We are spiritual beings, and with that, with being spiritual beings, we really are perfect beings. And oftentimes in our human experience, it's like society makes us believe that we're just not enough, right? But we are perfect in our own way of being. And it's important that we even just put our ego aside, right? And just recognize that all of us have unique gifts that we have to give to the world. And it's so important to just do it either way. With that being said, how do you feel like you stay relevant, unique, and true to who you are in this phase of your life?
When it comes to uniqueness, I automatically think about tuning into myself, tuning into my inner voice, um, my own emotions, analyzing it, how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling, what is the reason behind it. So the best tool I think are just my rituals, like morning ritual. Like every morning I wake up, this is like my time. I don't start like talking with someone. This is my time when this year, instead of coffee, I'm making matcha latte. This is my ritual. uh, I just enjoy making it because this is whole process. I just made the Instagram reel before our call today, how I'm making, because a lot of people ask how I'm doing it. And it's not just making a latte, it's just like thinking about setting intentions for the day, sitting down, journaling. Once again, I'm not perfect, I'm not doing this every single day. As Tim Ferriss said, if you do like 70-80% of your rituals, you are you are perfect. So yeah, and just like moving my body, this is on my like big intention for this year, because last year I think I've been a bit lazy and lacking on like loving my body, moving my body more, um meditating, and just like asking myself, like when I feel like something is off, the energy somewhere is off, like I'm asking myself, what is this coming from, what I'm feeling. And as a leader on social media, I would say for all of us it's very important, for us to be unique. It is very important to create before we consume,
Mm.
because of course, like we are all influenced by people around us, we are all influenced by the social media and posts that we see, that our like role models or people who are next level, what we're sharing and what we're doing. So I think for us to stay unique, like for me to stay unique into my messaging and what I'm doing, it is important to create before I consume. And even if I consume, it is important to add my own kind of spice, my own energy, and my own character. So like last year, I discovered memes. Like there are a lot of darkness, a lot of shit into the world, but I choose to stay positive and sometimes laugh. So like I was like sharing memes, and I think it's funny. It impacts people in a positive way. And
Mhm.
at the same time, like this is me. Like I love memes, so I don't want to show that I'm this like serious person on social media. Like I'm trying to share also pieces of my life, what I enjoy, what I value in life, to stay connected and show up as a real me and not some perfect Asta.
How long did it, well, so you actually hit this earlier before this question was even asked, and I'm so glad because this is really about being aligned. And I love to use the word alignment because you said it earlier, before when you were working, was it the rail, what was the job that you were in before?
Transportation, road
Transportation.
safety.
So before you transitioned from the transportation industry to what you're doing now, what was it like? Were you feeling aligned before, and then, or you weren't, and now you're in a place where, because I feel like a lot of times people have to try different things. I know I did. I mean, I've worked in a couple industries, and it took me a while for me to even feel like I was fulfilling my purpose. So do you feel that the work that you do every day is aligned with your calling and your higher purpose?
As of right now, yes. Before, no. And before, I think I didn't even ask myself like, what is my purpose? And I got into that field, when I moved to United States. I got through like, oh, it was Lithuanian company, so I didn't speak the language. I could have, worked there and learned the language. So that's how I got into transportation. Just like I was just looking for a job, any kind of job, and I got into it. I was doing good, and then I opened my own company, and I like was consulting other transportation companies. It was just like something that I know how to do it. I was comfortable with, and I could make a good living for myself. But no, there were no purpose at all. And when I started to wake up, when I started to work on myself and figure out what are my values and what do I want to do in life, what kind of impact I want to leave, I realized that doing that job, I was not doing any impact at all. I didn't feel that it was purposeful or meaningful. It was just doing paperwork for the money. That's it. So it was hard to leave because I was afraid. It was 2018 that I left the job. I was really afraid that what if I will fail? What if, um, I will need to come back to that work. Like I'm saying loud that I'm following my dream and my freedom lifestyle. And what if I will, what if I will fail? Because there were a lot of noises around me, even like, local friends, surrounding people, my family said like, are you going crazy? Like, don't just like, what are you doing? Stay in that job. You have good money. Just stay quiet and work. So but following that passion, that called me, I did that, and it's not an easy journey. I'm still on that journey, and I'm still learning every day. because being an entrepreneur without any previous background or knowledge, it's hard as it's so hard. I saw someone posting, it's like riding a roller coaster without a bra. Literally, one day, not even one day, 1 hour, you are happy, you are, in the clouds. Another one, you are the worst failure, and you need to find a real job. So it's still a journey, but I feel like I started to manifest what I envisioned for myself at the end of last year. And I just have my very first round of mastermind that I'm leading, 6 awesome ladies. And I finally believe in myself and what I'm doing, and that it's very purposeful, and people need my light. So yeah.
That's so beautiful, Asta. And I'm really glad that you pointed that out, because oftentimes, people look at, people like you, and they think that you have it all together, that you had, the financial backing, that you had like all these things, right? But it's so important, and you've done such a really great job about this, and I really admire you, because you talk about your struggles, you talk about the roadblocks that you've had, you talk about your fears, you talk about sometimes the anxieties that you face. And I truly I admire you, because that is really how you stay relevant and unique, and how people can be really how can they resonate with you, how they can really relate. And people definitely want to work with people like that. And it's so empowering. And I do appreciate that. You know, what keeps you, I hate to use the word motivated, because I feel like motivation is a very temporary emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But what keeps you inspired, what keeps you alive, every single day, in order for you to continue to put that value out into the world?
I was thinking about this, I think just like a month ago, like where my biggest motivation is coming from. And of course, I could say it's coming from my big why and my purpose. But sometimes our purposes and our why could not be the only thing that motivates us, because it might look like so far. So I have to say that, well, things that motivates me is just like the feedback that I get from people I work with,
Mhm.
people that I get feedback from, people who are reading my posts. And I think that comes from like love languages, or like five love languages. Did you read that book?
Yes.
Okay, so five love languages, and I learned that my biggest, like my number one love language is love of like affirmation, word of
Mhm.
affirmations.
Mine
And
too.
the number one is touch. So like everyone knows, like if you're coming to my events, I'm hugging, I'm kissing, like I'm very touchy person. Like I love to touch. At the same time, like I love words. I love to give shout outs to people. I love to compliment women. I love to say, you go girl. Like I just this is how I express my love and appreciation and gratitude. And at the same time, it's very like nourishing for me when I receive this back.
Mm.
So this motivates me, receiving the feedback that I know, like, okay, I'm on the right path, because sometimes there are days like, that's it, I'm quitting. Like, no one even cares. No one even read this post that I invested like that, like hour writing. And it was like so deep. And I posted some raw stuff that was not easy for me to post it. And like, I opened up and like, no one is responding. But then like someone would send something that, oh my gosh, you just opened my eyes, and I'm like, okay, I'll keep doing that. So yeah, that motivates me. And also I think action, I think like when people sometimes wait for the confidence to start or the motivation to come, I think like motivation and confidence comes with action. When you already doing something, you already empowering yourself. I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing this, like I'm already I'm in action, people already coming with me, we are doing this thing. And it's just like it's like a snowball, it just becomes bigger and bigger. And I would always say, like, don't lose that momentum, rest, take time to be just by yourself, do social media detox for a weekend, but then don't lose that momentum, because the content is motivation comes with action. That's action is the best thing, you know.
Yes, and you're right. I mean, we only lose our fear when we take action on what we fear, right? So like the fact that yesterday I also talked about having faith, having trust and belief, but also taking action on that faith, trust and belief, because faith without works is dead. you
Mhm.
can you can have faith all you want, but if you don't move and you're just sitting there waiting for things to fall on you, it doesn't happen that way. People are going to know who you are by putting yourself in the forefront of where people are. You know what I mean? And social media is a really great space to do that, because oftentimes people are not really doing anything relevant on social media, but just either lurking, seeing what other people are doing, and not really using that platform to really empower people. And there's so much opportunity there to do that. So I honestly, I think you're doing an amazing job, because I see you active all the time, and it's not just to be seen. You are definitely adding so much value. And just like you, I'm a words of affirmation type person. I love to give words of affirmation, but that also gives me the feedback that I need to know that I'm doing the right thing. Not necessarily that I depend on it, because I'm going to do it anyway, but it's always good to be acknowledged and to be recognized, because I know how much time it takes to do what you do. And I value you and I appreciate everything that you're doing, because it is so relevant and it's so needed in this time. What was your biggest aha moment of 2020?
um, I wouldn't say it was aha moment, but the word of 2020 and what I learned the most is adapt. There are there we all face uncertainty, you love it or not. I can feel like I love uncertainty because it pushes me to grow. Like the
Mm,
best things only comes from uncertainty when we step out of our comfort zone. But this time it was not like, oh, I choose to come outside the comfort zone. It was like I was forced to go out of my comfort zone. um, so I learned that adapting is like, as soon as like you can, okay, this is the situation and how I'm gonna adapt to the situation. Like a lot of people chose to wait for the normal to come back, and other people, okay, how I can adapt and how I can serve people now, because actually now people need you more than ever. So I think like when one of the things that I adapted is that just before the COVID hit, I was like so happy. I felt like I'm getting this momentum. I had 5 events scheduled and I needed to cancel all of them, refund money. And I'm like, okay, well, how I'm gonna do now? And I was really skeptical and I was truly really afraid of virtual events. But I started to do it and I realized it's not that bad. It's not about how good the event is. Like in 2020, the biggest thing that all people earned deeply was just connecting and providing the space for other people to connect. It's also a big thing and a service to others. So I learned adapting is really important, adapting to the people's needs, adapting to what the world needs, adapting how you can serve the people more. And I think like in this last year, a lot of new great businesses were born also because we had a lot of needs last year.
oh, absolutely. I think about change, right? And you're right. Adaptation was actually, I wrote an end of the year reflection, and that was like my main point, was the importance of adapting, and also recognizing what our true and greatest asset is, which is our health, right? And you and I met through taking care of our health, right? And so when I think of adaptation, I have learned to adapt through my greatest changes and transitions, and that happened through actually relocation. And so when I think about people like you came from another country, Asta, and you were, I mean, already what, in your 20s when you came here
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
United States?
Hmm.
So how was that transition? And how long did it take you to really adapt? Because I mean, I think that because I've relocated numerous times to cities where I absolutely didn't know anybody, and it's almost as though you have to be thrown into the fire, right, in order for you to be like, girl, you need to grow like real quick, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like that transition that you made was, I'm sure it was a huge leap of faith. It was probably the greatest transition that you ever made. But do you think that that transition prepared you for everything that you experienced after the fact?
I never thought about it, but it's probably yeah, because it was really really hard. When I remember like how I started, it was um oh man, it was really really hard. I remember then this like last year we had a lot of discrimination topics coming up, and I was told also numerous times, oh, you're white, you don't understand. I'm like, no, I'm immigrant, I'm not white, I understand. I was discriminated so many times for not speaking language, um, for many things, for just not understanding the system, how it works. So I don't know if it prepared me. Probably it prepared me. It made, as always, like all the challenges made me only stronger. That didn't kill me. So
And it's, it is, because I remember even moving from Las Cruces, New Mexico, which people in Chicago, because Chicago was the first city that I moved to when I moved from here, and I was 18 years old. And I remember people would ask me where I was from, and they thought that I was from Mexico. And they would tell me, wow, your English is really good considering that you're from Mexico. And it's like, people, first of all, I'm from the United States, one. But even just like you having a little bit of a different characteristics, whether it's like the way that your verbiage, the way that you sound, the way that you look, people are so good at judging
mhm.
your outer appearance or what you sound like, what you look like. And I just think that it gives us an advantage too, because we face a lot more challenges, especially being women. And I can't even imagine what it would be like coming from another country. But I can almost guarantee that that transition alone made you, gave you the most strength, especially going into 2020. Because I think that a lot of people who have never experienced any change in their life had the most difficulties transitioning to what happened last year. It's almost like the rug has to be pulled from underneath your feet in order for you to wake up and do something different.
Yeah.
And recognize that adaptation is it's the most critical in our growth.
And what comes to my mind right now, I want to share. It's all maybe where the authenticity sometimes comes from, like strength of being through me. When I moved to United States, and at the beginning, I was surrounded by just Lithuanian community. We have a huge Lithuanian community here in Chicago. But then I realized, okay, if I want to start to speak English, like learn English, I have to put myself into, once again, like always know, like if it's time to grow, I have to put myself in different container, and like I have to go somewhere. So I signed up for college classes, just for classes, anatomy and physiology. I didn't know that I had to have prerequisites of like chemistry and other classes, but whatever. I chose just to take one class to start like speaking English and to push myself to grow, learn something I'm interested in, human body, and just to surround myself with Americans. So, and I remember that I was always trying to fit in. I'm like, I always felt that I'm not good enough. I'm an immigrant. My English is horrible. People will not understand how I'm saying, like what I'm saying, how I'm saying. I look different. We Lithuanians, like Eastern Europeans, we love to dress up, ladies nice, like walk in heels to grocery store sometimes. I'm not doing that anymore, but we dress up differently, There's like Lithuanian woman, like usually like you will not go out without the makeup, without taking care of yourself. It's not like in United States you would see people with flip-flops going everywhere, to the bar. So it's like it was different. I was looking different. I was just speaking different. My mindset were different. I was trying to fit in like so badly. I felt that I don't fit in. I'm not good enough. I'm not like Americans. I didn't finish high school here. I don't have friends, family here. But then there was this switch when I started to work on myself, on my mindset, that I have so many good qualities as an immigrant, and I have to own it, you know. I'm proud of where I'm coming from. I'm proud of my roots. Um, and yeah, I'm not American and I'm not trying to fit in anymore. Like, I am who I am. I know that I belong here. I belong, as you said, like at the beginning, we are all one. We are all different. We live different philosophies. We have different cultural beliefs, but we are all the same. We are all one. We all belong into this world if we choose to. If we believe that we belong, we belong. We don't need to try to fit in. And the Brené Brown speaks about this really perfectly in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. So I would highly recommend everyone to read that book. And it's not about fitting in, it's about belonging, and it's all internal work. If you tell to yourself that you belong here, you belong, and you owning this space for yourself. So that would be the best answer, I guess. I just channeled.
Yes, no, that's beautiful. And well, what words of wisdom would you give to those seeking a deeper understanding of themselves?
You know, I think that in order to understand yourself deeper, you have to invest time into just spending time just with yourself and getting to know yourself and work on yourself. We often invest time watching TV, meeting with friends, you know, work, business, other hobbies, and things that brings us joy. And sometimes getting your true self, it's not an easy ride, and it's not just pink and sparkles. As people sometimes share, oh, spiritual awakening is just like sitting meditating, and it's just like you turn eye opening and it's just all beautiful. No, it's an ugly ride. It's very ugly ride, but it's very nourishing and fulfilling ride. So I would just invite everyone to invest time being with themselves, and also seeking for help. You know, we are all mirrors. We are all mirroring each other. If you see some quality that you admire in other people, it means that you already possess these qualities, because these other people mirroring your own gifts and talents. And if you feel sometimes that, oh, she's doing this and that, oh, you know, like you feel triggered because it shows you your own insecurities. Maybe you feel called to do that as well, but there is something stopping you inside. So it's just like observing people around you. Everyone, doesn't matter good or bad you think that person is, everyone is your own teacher. And I would highly suggest also like working with a coach, mentor, finding someone who can help you to see your own beauty. Because also with mirroring is, you know, if you are just working by yourself on yourself, you still miss some spots. You know, you don't want to see all of it. Like you kind of see, but you hide what you don't want to work on. And when you, let's say, work with coach or a psychiatrist, like you don't have, like you just sit, we ask you a question, and you finding your own answers, but you already here in that space to find it yourself. Like you cannot hide it, you cannot just run from it. Like you have to find it yourself. So I would highly just invite everyone and encourage everyone to invest time, just like you invest in your business growth, invest in your personal growth, time wise, financial wise, because you are your biggest ROI, return on investment.
Oh,
uh,
yes.
yeah. And you know, just don't just check society's boxes. Don't just get sucked in maybe you are already sucked in into this hamster wheel, and especially United States. Like, you know, everyone is just like advertisement selling us like you can have this car payment is cheap, or you will get a raise and you will get that and that in credits, and then you get better raise, like better salary, but you increase your, you know, expenses, and it's just like it's never ending journey. So I would really invite you to, you know, tune into yourself and ask like what are your own boxes, not society's boxes, but your own. What do you want, and how you want to live your life, and how does your best life looks like? Because how my best life looks like, it's probably totally different than yours. Just like success for some people is making a bunch of money, for some people is just having ability to travel or be healthy and have family and be stay-at-home mom. So we are all different, and success is different, but just yeah, invest all the resources, time, money, into getting to know yourself, and show you beauty because the world needs you.
Yes. Ooh, so good. So, one last question before we end this amazing conversation. You had mentioned earlier that you pretty much don't feel like you're working in the line of work that you're doing now. But what would you find yourself doing when you're not giving value to the world? Because you're always giving value in everything that you do. What is something that you do for you where it's just investment in you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be work wise? It just brings you so much joy.
That's a good question. I think just like learning about some random stuff that is not like related to not related to what I'm doing. Especially right now, like last year, I was drawn so much into like ancestral healing and just learning all the pagan stuff and witchy stuff. So like I kind of using because I host like a virtual new moon and full moon circles. I hosted live ones as well. So it is kind of a element of like, feminine energy, moon energy. But yeah, there are things that I'm like also drawn into. Um, yeah, I love sometimes to watch also like those like witchy movies. So it's like so empowering to me. Like I feel like I'm this badass witch. So sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, this is probably just. I remember when I was a kid, I loved to watch that kind of movies. So, but I never watched Harry Potter. I never read those books. So on my list as well because I heard that it's so empowering.
Nice. Well, you didn't mention travel and you were just in Florida this past week.
Yeah. Traveling, of course, is something that gives me joy, and I think I'm sad because I cannot travel outside US right now, because I think like also like traveling is like when we travel in the United States, it's all the same stores, the same food, like restaurants, chains. In America, you go to different states, it's all the same. You can live the same in the same bubble, right? The same language. I really love to go to countries where I cannot understand the language. Once again,
Mm.
like it's I think like meeting their culture and people and yeah, so that's I would love to go to Mexico, explore more. I've been twice, but it was just like a weekend for like attending wedding, friend's wedding, and just a weekend getaway. So I was in a resort, but I just loved how nice people are and just I don't know, everyone's like smiling. It's so opposite from Lithuanians. Lithuanians don't smile, and if you look at them like, why you look at me? Do I know you?
Really?
Yeah, that's kind of cold culture. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I really encourage you to go to Mexico City. Mexico City is by far one of my favorite cities that I visited so far.
Yeah.
And you get a very good mix of different cultures. And Europe is very prominent in Mexico City. So you see a lot of different mixed cultures. I see a lot of people from Asia, and then also it's a very there's a lot of trade,
Hmm.
and the economy there is really evolving. So that would be one that I would highly recommend you visit if you decide to go back to Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, I am so glad that we had the opportunity to converse because you, like I said, have been adding so much value to this world. And to me personally, you have definitely been so valuable, so encouraging, so inspiring, especially knowing your story and where you come from and how you've been able to transition to the United States, a culture that oftentimes is not easy to transition to because like you mentioned earlier, it is a hustle and bustle like country, especially places like Chicago is not an easy place to transition to, and you are definitely a boss babe for being able to survive there. So I am just so grateful for you, Asta. Continue to do what you're doing. You are definitely empowering so many people and you are transforming so many lives, and I encourage you to continue to do that. Thank you for being a part of the Cultured Society community. And until we see each other again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So grateful for you and the work that you do. I think it is very, very important that you show, that society is from all kinds of cultures. It's colorful and it's beautiful, and we are all different and we are all the same. I see you, sister. I feel you, sister. I love you, sister. And can't wait to meet you.
We'll just have to meet each other in person, and you're always welcome to come to New Mexico. You have a home here. Mi casa es tu casa, and I will see you soon.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Thank you. Love you, girl.
Love you.
Bye.